Hey guys, welcome to another episode of BMN Reviews. My name's Brandon, and today's movie is Gerald's Game, a 2017 horror thriller starring Carla Gugino and Bruce Greenwood. The Netflix description for this movie says, when her husband's sex game goes wrong, Jessie, handcuffed to a bed in a remote lake house, faces warped visions, dark secrets, and a dire choice. This is this week's Sunday scary movie, so in for a little bit of a scare tonight. After this clip, I'll be back with my rating, trivia, quote, and synopsis for this movie. This movie mostly revolves around Jessie and Gerald. So they go to a private lake house, and Gerald ends up having a heart attack after taking a Viagra, after he ties Jessie up to the bed with handcuffs. And so he has a heart attack and she can't get out. So she starts to get dehydrated and she has visions of the past and she's seeing things. And this movie is all about the horrors of her finally getting out and everything that she goes through during the movie. As far as some trivia for this movie goes, there's a lot of references back to Stephen King, where the dog in the movie has the same name as the dog in the Stephen King book. Also, there's basically no soundtrack for this movie. It's all just people talking. And lastly, the headboard of the bed is the lower half of the Laser glass from the Oculus movie that came out in 2013. My favorite quote in this movie is from the young Jessie from one of her flashbacks. And she says, the people who were supposed to protect you from the monsters turned out to be the monsters themselves. I don't want to give too much away about this movie, but that quote has a lot to do with everything that happens in the movie. For my rating of this movie, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a really interesting twist on the typical horror film and made it a lot more enjoyable for people who don't like being scared for the whole 2 hours of a movie. I thought this movie made my skin crawl, and there was a really good visual effect with the breaking of a wrist that literally made me cringe, and I thought all of these reasons contribute to making it a very strong horror film, which is why it's getting a 4 out of 5 stars from me, and I'm typically not that big of a fan of horror films. And without further ado, it's time for tomorrow's movie clues. This is a 2019 animated film starring Sergio Pablos and Rashida Jones. I hope you're having a safe and happy quarantine or social distancing if you're in one of those states. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Without further ado, here's tomorrow's movie.